Oh, yes. All we have to do is to get rid of Donald Trump, and all our problems will disappear. It'll be the good old days again. Nothing will fundamentally change. Joe Biden said last year, nothing will fundamentally change. And I'd be damned. I have never heard a man say anything more true in my life, in my entire life. Joe Biden is president. Orange man, gone. Progressives assure me. Once we get rid of Donald Trump, we can pressure Biden and Harris toward our direction. They will have no choice but to listen to us. Let's see. No $15 hour minimum wage, no $2,000 stimulus checks, no adding of public options to a jump-started Obamacare. Can't say I'm shocked. It's exactly what I expected, and what better way to distract all of us from focusing on these domestic issues than to sit there and focus on an old-fashioned Bush Cheney era neocon military response overseas. That is correct. President Joe Biden ordered an airstrike against Syria. From a foreign policy standpoint, this is utterly stupid. I mean, Syria is not a threat at all. Bashar Assad's government is secular. Even the Christian population in Syria, are no danger from the Assad government itself. Just like Iran, demonizing Syria is wrong. It's bad politics. Now, do I think that Syria is a wonderful government, even though they don't, even though secular and they're not as bad as the actual religious crazies over there? It's a bad government. I wouldn't want to live in Syria. I wouldn't want to live in any country in the Middle East, to tell you the truth. But, here's the thing. Anybody who has a basic understanding and basic knowledge of Middle Eastern politics should realize Syria is not a threat to the West. Iran is not a threat to the West either. In fact, all this jump-starting the Bush-Cheney era, which, here's the thing. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney are gone. Barack Obama continued. Donald Trump continued. And Joe Biden is continuing. And for some reason, I don't know why people fail to realize, some people know, that if you want to look at the biggest threat that comes out of the Middle East, is Saudi Arabia. They're the country to be the most concerned about. Now, I'm not a warmonger. I'm not trying to start a fight with Saudi Arabia either. But I certainly am offended by the way the United States sits there and enables Saudi Arabia, answering their beck and call. During the Donald Trump presidency, NSA advisor, National Security Advisor John Bolton, urged the U.S. to support moderate rebels. When it comes to the conflict between Syria, the Syrian government, and moderate rebels, there's no such a thing as moderate rebels. Unless you think Al Qaeda is a moderate group, or ISIS, or some of the lesser known groups. They're not moderate rebels. John Bolton actually once said that the United States overtly should back Al Qaeda to bring down Bashar al-Assad. But due to his shenanigans and everything, a stop clock gave the right time twice a day during the Trump presidency when he fired John Bolton's ass. Best thing he did. Now, to the left, please do not look the other way again. Back in the 1960s with the Vietnam War, which is sad because had it not been for Vietnam, Lyndon Johnson would not have been all that bad of a president. Yeah, he actually had a pretty good domestic agenda. The Great Deal, the Great Society, Great Deal, the Great Society was really a good domestic plan. The Supreme Court were being Johnson was appointing actual civil libertarians. The Warren Court actually expanded more rights, individual rights, than any other courts prior to and afterwards. But the left were correct to say this Vietnam War was wrong. I guess that by the time Barack Obama became president, 2009, with this war crap going on, and the anti-war movement just seemed to have died overnight because with the changing of the guard, so to speak, that the well-intentioned left were like, we got to be careful this time because we want good things to happen. Can't make good things happen when the Democrat that's in the White House between the year 2009 to 2017 governs to the right of former President Richard Nixon. And so the left enabled Obama. They were they were fit to be tied when you talk to these leftists. But at the same time, they put up the public appearance of supporting Obama because they wanted his presidency to do well. So far for doing well. From 2 countries to 7 countries. Obama took that crap of Bush and Cheney. 2 countries, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, spread it to 5 more countries, made it 7 countries that we were at war with. Now, a changing of the guard again, the Donald Trump presidency. Donald Trump was kind of he was very erratic because on the one hand, he campaigned on getting us out of these neocon wars. And I do think that he has that in him. He's not a pacifist, but I do think he did. He was indeed skeptical of most of this war crap. But then he contradicted himself by doing stupid things like getting the United States to exit out of the Iran deal. One of the worst things that Donald Trump did. With the intention of appealing to the neoconservatives in the party and the Christian right. I think he wanted to get out of Afghanistan. But again, military-industrial complex, the neocons, the establishment within the Republican Party tied his hands down. Otherwise, as terrible as Trump was, as terrible as his presidency was during the past 4 years, there might have been potential for slight improvement. But since we're back to normal, Joe Biden comes in, and one of the good reasons to have voted for Joe Biden, I didn't. I voted Howie Hawkins of the Green Party. But one of the good things or incentives to vote for Joe Biden would have been like, well, we'll head on, obviously, back to that Iran peace deal. He doesn't want to do that. Um, and I'm going to backtrack for a second. Don't want to make it sound like I'm, you know, giving Donald Trump any hidden praise. Because assassinating a general in Iran, I mean, over there in Iraq, the Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, that was immoral. But this is what we got now. And let me tell you, when Joe Biden was a senator, he got along with everybody in Washington, D.C., in that Senate chamber, nearly. One can argue that's a good thing. One can argue that might not be so good. And on the latter point, it may not be so good because he's always about consensus. And the consensus between the two parties is that they lean toward the neocon foreign policy. They lean toward enabling the military industrial complex, and they lean toward, just being business as usual for the sake of being business as usual. And business as usual cost us trillions of dollars in debt. Where are we now? I mean, I know we were at 20 trillion for a while. Where are we now? 25, 30 trillion? This the last 20 years of stupidity, which started with the George W Bush-Dick Cheney administration, got us into the mess we're in. We have a healthcare crisis, but maybe the only thing that was well spent in all that foreign policy trillions that we put halfway across the globe was that when we invaded Iraq and when we invaded Afghanistan, we gave them Medicare for all over there. That is right, Americans. Your tax dollars is paying for Medicare for all right now, but it's not Medicare for all for you and me. It's Medicare for all for people in Iraq. It's Medicare for all and people for the people of Afghanistan. I'm fine with them having Medicare for all. But we can't afford it. We can't afford it here. We can't afford it. That's all I hear. How are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? It's bloody well paid for the people overseas. Look at the billions of dollars a year we get to Israel. They have socialized medicine over there too. But we can't have that here. Priorities. And let's not enable Joe Biden. Let's tell Joe Biden that you're not just going to sit there and spit on the left and we're going to sit there and say, can we have another? I want the left to be defiant and hold the Democrats elected accountable. I will not hold my breath saying this, but that's what I want. I hope to see mass protests in the streets over this. It's not just, a partisan thing when it comes to anti-war. There was one thing I noticed about the anti-war movement during the latter part of the Bush-Cheney years. I know I talk a lot about the Bush-Cheney years because I objectively think George W. Bush was the worst president we ever had. I'm going to do a video commentary at some point regarding or comparing, contrasting George W. Bush to Donald Trump. Just haven't got around to doing that yet. But the point I'm trying to make is that 8 years, 2001 to 2009, brought us in the mess we're in. Brought us the hope and yes, we can, and change, feel good vibes, and Barack Obama. It gave us this crass um, show business billionaire goofball for the past 4 years by the name of Donald Trump. And it's given us now the most establishment of establishment politicians sitting in the White House in the Oval Office doing establishment things like giving us more war, no $15 minimum wage, no $2,000 stimulus checks, no health care reform, no Green New Deal, no free college. I hope to see this anti-war movement transpire again. Again, during the Bush-Cheney years, when I was going to these anti-war protests almost every other weekend, in the latter period, like in the last 2 or 3 years, I noticed an increase of libertarians and paleo conservatives joining up with the liberal left, the socialists and the social democrats, and even the communists, and all the people who thought that George W. Bush was bad news. Anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. Comment anyway. If you were not seeing eye to eye with me, feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to go ahead and create a platform, utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. Furthermore, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, so you can keep in touch with me and my ramblings. And until next time, I am American social democracy. Peace. Class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, until we have full economic and social justice for all.